Greetings, everyone. This is Sistah Crystal here with Let's Talk Classic Hip Hop and R&B. Let's talk classic hip hop and R&B. And I am I am trying something different. Um, and first of all, I want to thank everyone who continues to support me in this channel. It's greatly appreciated. As you may or may not know, it's not easy to try to come on these platforms and try to create content because you don't know um, who will like your content, and you really don't know which direction it'll go and all that kind of stuff. So I do want to say, first and foremost, thank you to those who continue to support me in this channel. It's greatly appreciated. But today I'm doing something different. I want to share with you all some footage that I've taken from my recent trip with one of my best friends to see the Aretha Franklin, late great Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, memorial services that she had between the dates of it was Tuesday, August 28th through Friday, August 31st. And we were there Wednesday and Thursday, the 29th and the 30th. And it was just a really emotional experience. And as for me personally, I'm kind of in an emotional wreck right now. I still am, from a lot of things that's been going on, mostly offline, but and some online too, especially when it comes to this platform, because I'm kind of facing whether or not I should even continue posting and continue with this channel, really. And just, I am kind of going off on something else, but just really issues, the different things that this platform, YouTube in particular, they're constantly changing different terms of service, and they can because they own the platform. I don't own it, and I know that, which is why I chose to split up my content in the way in which I have. Meaning, originally when I came on this platform, I was doing a lot of political type commentary. I got away from that, and I'm kind of dabbling in hip hop and R&B, which is another one of my passions, and all that. So, but anywho, so I just want to share my experience. Very emotional when I was out there, and I figured it's probably the best time for me to record this while I'm kind of an emotional wreck, so you guys can feel or I can better convey the emotion that I felt the entire 2 days when I was in Detroit. And actually, that was my first visit ever to Detroit. I think myself and a couple, I think my best friend, I believe that might have been her first visit to Detroit too. And it was actually 5 of us in a car. It was kind of like a girls trip, that movie Girls Trip that came out last year, with who was that? Jada Pinkett Smith, Queen Latifah. I can't think of the other actress, and breakout star Tiffany Haddish was in that movie. So this was kind of our girls trip, but we were on the way to see a singer and entertainer, and just a overall very inspiring person, Aretha Franklin, be laid to rest. What I can say is the days when I was there, it just felt like, now we revere people once they leave, once they pass away, and we say late great and all that. And sometimes we say it, and some people may say it's like a cliche. We call people great once they leave. Well, this young lady was And I say young, even though Aretha Franklin, she passed away at age 76 on August 16th, 2018. I say 76 years young because she seemed like she was around forever. And when I heard that she was only 76, I'm like, my goodness. And it's not like she looked older. She didn't look older, but it was just the fact that she was around for so long. I thought she was at least in her late 80s. She had to be, even though she looked good, you know. And she's been out there professionally performing and everything, I think, since she was like 10 years old. And then I think she had her first hit records when she was 17 or 18 years old. And of course, after she passed away, we know about she had two children by the time she was 15 or 16 years old. And I didn't know until after she passed away that she had a total of four children, all boys. So didn't know that. But Miss Franklin, she took care of her business. But okay, so I'm gonna say, okay, so day two. So day one, that was Tuesday, August 28th, 2018. They showed, I was looking for lots for footage on line and on the television. Um, this like she went on tour, honey. She had passed away, I think, by that time about 2 weeks ago. But when they did these memorial services for her, honey, Miss Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, was on tour. Like that first day, she had on all red. Now, we weren't there the first day. The second day, this was Wednesday, August 29th, when we were there. I think we arrived around 3 p.m., something like that. And they had her at the African American Museum in Detroit. And she had on like a baby blue or sky blue dress with like, it looked like it had gold sparkles on the dress. And her legs were crossed at the ankles. And we had to, when we went through the line at the museum, they had it running smooth without a hitch. You go through there, you couldn't bring any cameras or anything in there, understandably, but they moved you through real quick. But one thing I noticed was that it just seemed like just the atmosphere. It seemed like people were mourning their family member. Just immediately, as soon as we got there, it just felt like um, Detroit was in mourning. They had lost a family member. They had lost their Auntie Riri, which a lot of people affectionately refer to her as. But when I saw her, and I think literally I laid eyes maybe about 5 seconds. My one, I did have a concern when I first heard that they were going to have open casket for her, only because shortly before she passed away, it came out that she, due to pancreatic cancer, um, she had dwindled down to like 86 pounds. So I was concerned, like, well, how would you look? How would they make her up when she was only less than 100 pounds? And but they made her up. She was really, whatever the people at the funeral home or whatever did, they made her look really good. Her face was full. She looked like herself, and she did not look like, skin and bones, which was pretty much almost how she had lost so much weight, but they made her look really good. The dress was beautiful. Um, and then, and also on that day, they had the pink Cadillacs out there, and the hearse. Now, from what I had been told, the hearse that they had out there for Aretha Franklin, also she was in a gold casket. But the hearse in which she came in, it was reportedly used, the similar hearse was used for Rosa Parks when she passed away back in 2004, 2005, something like that, and some other people. But okay, so that was day 2, and then day 3 was Thursday, August 30th. And that was our final day that we were there. She had on, it was either pink or champagne colored dress, and it looked like it had little gold sparkles on there on her dress. And she also had red bottom shoes. She had, it looked like she had diamond encrusted heels. Her legs were crossed at the ankles, and she had red bottoms on. She just looked absolutely fabulous. And I don't know if this sounds morbid to say that about someone whose soul has left their body and all you have left is their temple. But she looked absolutely gorgeous, for lack of a better way to put it, and no disrespect. But so that was day 3, and she was now day 3. Now that was where she was at the what's the name of that church? Bethel Baptist Church, the church where she grew up at, where her father, Reverend C.L. Franklin, was a pastor there. And actually right across the street from the church, part of the street is named Reverend C.L. Franklin. Now, one thing I do want to note, I found it odd that like part of the street was named after Reverend C.L. Franklin, but the other part was like Linwood or something. And with us being from out of town, we were following the GPS. So the GPS would say, go on Linwood. It didn't say anything about C.L. Franklin Way. And then I'm saying this to say we had missed the turn like several times because we were looking for a street called Linwood. And then it took us a little while to find out that Linwood is also known as Reverend C.L. Franklin Way, and where the church is, it's Reverend C.L. Franklin Way, but further up it's Linwood or something. So one of the friends in the car had said the reason for that, and allegedly, I'll say allegedly, is maybe there was some dispute about renaming that street after her father, Reverend C.L. Franklin, for whatever reason. So what they did, they compromised. So they renamed part of the street after Reverend C.L. Franklin, and the other part stayed the same. It stayed Linwood, or whatever the name of that street is. So anyone from Detroit, if they listen to this and the sound of my voice, if you feel free to share in the comment section, if that's true, if you're a native I was going to say New York, if you're a native or of Detroit and you know about the issues with when they rename streets after celebrities, if you guys could share about that. So yeah, again, Reverend C.L. Franklin Street, right across the street from Bethel Baptist Church. If you go further up, the street is a different name. So the entire street isn't renamed after Reverend C.L. Franklin for whatever reason, but it is what it is. And then we took, with us being not from there, we wanted to take a little trip around to see what was available, what was there. Also, I wanted to say before we left, I almost got in trouble with one of the police officers because we're walking across the street. It was packed, and I was trying to take a picture real quick, but I didn't stop. I just slowed down, and you'll see at the end of this, I am adding some footage if you like to stay and watch some of my personal footage, and you will see a police officer say, "Ma'am." And the officer was talking to me like, "Ma'am, you need to go across the street." It's like, oh my goodness, I didn't come all the way over here to get in trouble by Detroit police and end up having to need bail and all that kind of stuff, all because I'm trying to walk across the street, following a bunch of people. But anyway, it worked out. But yeah, so Thursday, that was the last day. We also visited a restaurant called Beans and Cornbread. It was a nice little restaurant. I guess that was inside the Detroit city limits or what have you. They had a nice poster on the outside of Aretha Franklin when she was younger, and I signed, as well as my the friends that traveled with me. We all signed, and a bunch of other people. You saw a bunch of signatures for people signing the poster that was on the outside of the restaurant. It was a nice restaurant. The only thing, the food was really good, really good. They give you nice sized portions of food, so that's always a great thing. The only thing I don't like is I don't like that they put everyone's bill on one ticket at Beans and Cornbread. So it was five of us. They put the entire bill all on one. They did separate the bills on the ticket, but you got one ticket, and we had to kind of split it up and just see which one was ours. I don't like that. I don't know why they decide to put all the bill on one ticket, and that could be kind of messy if you're there with, just on your own, and all that. But we were all cool, but yeah, I don't know why they decided to do it that way. But that's the only complaint I have about the restaurant. Other than that, the food was great. It was really packed, and despite it being packed, the servers were really kind and everything. And I also want to mention about the police again, the Detroit police. They were nice. Even the dude that kind of yelled at me like, ma'am, he was really, he was trying to be nice and firm, but I guess he was frustrated because he had just fussed at thousands of other people, and here I am, I'm another person walking by. He don't know we just got there from, wherever we've come. I mean, people came from all over the country and all over the world to see the Aretha Franklin Memorial. So, he didn't know, but the police department, Detroit Police Department, I'd like to thank them. They were very kind. The parking was free. We were worried from being out of town. We didn't know where we could park, and we saw one of the police officers on the street, and the friend stopped and asked, like, hey, where can we park? And he said, hey, if there's a place on the street, even if it's by a meter, go ahead and park. Parking is free. And that was a good thing. That was nice for them to do that, because they didn't have to do that. They could have saw this as a way to kind of really sock it to us. Like in that song, Aretha Franklin's song, Respect, and she's talking about, sock it to me, sock it to me. They could have used this time to sock it to it, sock it to us, sock it to us on tickets. And especially with us being out of town, it's like, whoo, that could have been a disaster. But I'm thankful that the city saw enough to really try to accommodate the millions of people that will come through. I know it was a lot of people. I don't know if it was millions, but it was a lot. And that, they didn't have to make their parking free for us. They could have still used that to kind of capitalize and make money every which way on that. So I'm thankful that they didn't do that. And I ran into the mosque. I think I don't know what mosque that was. Mosque number 1. They were really kind, and everything. Just the whole atmosphere was just really. It just felt like I was there for, people was mourning their family member. It did not feel like we were mourning a superstar. And and that Thursday there was a concert at the place called Shane Park. And I believe from what I've been hearing, there's a proposal allegedly that's supposed to propose that Shane Park is renamed Aretha Franklin Park or something like that. That would be really nice if that were to happen. But so there were a lot of performers. Now, this is Thursday, August 30th. I overheard one of the performers said, what did they say? Quote, Aretha Franklin traveled the world, but she never left home. And that really summed up Aretha Franklin and how she felt about Detroit. She loved Detroit, and Detroit loved her. And just with all the different changes going on with Detroit, I did take some footage of all the gentrification that's happening around there. I mean, not gentrification, urban renewal. And I'm not picking on Detroit. I mean, where I'm, in my city, um, where I'm at in Ohio, there's urban renewal, quote unquote, urban renewal going on all around the country. But you were able to see, like, there were rows and rows where there were no houses, and it used to be houses. But then you see rows of new houses, and then you see people walking their little teacup dogs and all of that. And that's one of the first signs of gentrification, and there's a lot of it going on there. In fact, like right across the street or up the street from the Bethel Baptist Church, there was an abandoned building which they put a beautiful mural in honor of Aretha Franklin, and it's actually on the side of an abandoned building. So I'm not really sure how long that mural will stay there, because that building can't stay there like that, without buildings, without being lived in, without activity, they eventually fall in on themselves. Buildings, just like people, they need love and attention. They need life and people living in them, and running water and electricity. And when you have abandoned buildings just sitting there for years and years, eventually they'll start to crumble and fall in on themselves. So this building, where this beautiful mural of Aretha Franklin, and it said, rest and respect, Queen, really beautiful, but it's on the side of a abandoned building that eventually is going to have to come down, in my humble opinion, unless they can restore it or whatever. But we'll see. But I'm just, again, I want to give my condolences to the family of Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, and my condolences to the city of Detroit, because, like I said, it really felt like the entire city was in mourning. And then it was something really cool when we was on our way back home. I don't know if it's the Ford building or one of those buildings downtown in downtown Detroit, were several of them. They were lit up pink. And I didn't know that pink is Aretha Franklin's favorite color. But it is. So they lit it up pink for her. So it was just really beautiful, very just warm, and just really just emotional. And I'm thankful that I was able to at least be a part of that. I'm saddened that I didn't get a chance to see her in life, perform in person. But, I'm thankful that I was able to come through and pay my respects. And I'm thankful to my friend for inviting me. It was like at the last possible minute. And I'm thankful for the Creator for allowing me to have enough strength to get around so that I could be a part of it. So yeah. So stay tuned. Watch my little footage, if you will. And I appreciate you guys taking the time. You can like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for hanging out with me. And until next time, stick around, because I've got the footage coming up after this. Alrighty then. Oh yeah. Also, I almost forgot. At the memorial service for Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, Wednesday, when we visited her, when we saw the memorial service at the African American Museum, it's the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, which is where she was at. I think for the first 2 days, they were passing out, I guess her, I don't want to say obituary, but it was kind of like a commemorative card commemorating her achievements, including but not limited to, she won 18 Grammy Awards. She was the first woman to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And she received a Kennedy Center honoree, recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Also, as you know, she sang at the inauguration of former President Barack Obama back in 2009. And she also sang at 3 other presidents too, I think including George W. Bush. This is the son. So I hope I'm saying it right. So this is the son, George Bush. And also former President Bill Clinton. So she sang at their inaugurations also. But I came back on here to say there is an exhibit. They call it Think, a tribute to the Queen of Soul. And it's going to be running from September 21st, 2018 to January 21st, 2019. I just wanted to share that. I'm not sponsored or anything by them. I just wanted to share this in case, people were interested. And it's going to be at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. The address, 315 East Warren Avenue, Detroit, Michigan, 48201. And, they got the number and all that kind of stuff. So, and it says 50 years. So, yeah, so an exhibit honoring the Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, is going to happen at the African American Museum, the same place where she was, where her, some of her memorial services happened a week or so ago. And that's going to be going on from September 21st, 2018 to January 21st, 2019. So check that out. Also, she's also known as the voice of the civil rights movement. I did not know that. And she also sang at the funeral of the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And she also sang at the funeral of Queen of Gospel, Mahalia Jackson. I didn't know that. We lost a true legend, young in every sense of the word, only 76, so years young. But we love you, and again, rest peacefully, Queen of Soul.
Like you telling them you just bought your votes from the damn church.
Open here. No, sir. Nuh-uh.
Amar! Look, I'm on my way home.
Okay, because I'm not going to be able to.
The queen has on pink today. So all the IK.
Oh, lady, excuse me, babe.
Yep. $20. Up here to this next entrance.
an organization that like a watchdog organization.
Whatever.
Right. It's
Canada!
No re-entry to USA.
Hey,
I just become the Rosa Parks. You know, we need to be ashamed of ourselves.
Tunnel to Canada. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I want to make sure I don't, you know, take that.
Yeah, we not going to Canada.
Shall I get off of Rosa Parks Boulevard? Well, we could. Let's just do it.
Rosa Parks.
If it look like Martin Luther King's all over the world,
It's raggedy.
Raggedy as hell.
Right. We're still here in Detroit for the celebrations for Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul. I'm here, I guess, Shane Park or something. But my friend, Sister V, just told me across the river or whatever, it's supposed to be Canada. Didn't know that. So I want to see like I could see Canada. Want to see Canada.
I'll slow down enough to get something. I'm gonna stick my hand out there. How about that?
Wow, they lit it up pink for Miss Aretha. This is amazing.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Oh, I know. That is
Slow down.
good.
That's pretty. That's really
That is
pretty.
beautiful.
I can slow down. Ain't nobody behind me. Y'all better snap, snap, snap.